Italy and Spain, January 20th, 2026. In Sicily, Italy, 380 interventions were reported due to adverse weather conditions in the past few hours. The Agrò River overflowed its banks in Sant'Alessio Siculo, in the province of Messina. State Highway 114 Orientale Sicula was closed in both directions. In the city, winds toppled a traffic light pole at the Santa Margherita intersection. Since the early hours of January 18, 2026, the central Mediterranean basin has been the site of a deep and rapid cyclogenesis originating from North Africa. This system, called Harry, originated between the Strait of Sardinia and the Tunisian coast. It was triggered by a significant thermal gradient between cold polar air descending from Central Europe and the heat released by the Mediterranean surface waters, exhibiting an unusually positive thermal anomaly for this time of year.
Això ara mateix, camp de futbol de la Creueta, està totalment inundat.
The low-pressure center generated cyclonic winds with gusts reaching 120 kilometers per hour offshore. The structure of Cyclone Harry exhibited exceptional characteristics for the month of January. The stationary nature of the storm system poses the greatest danger, although soil saturation, which, due to the high intensity of rainfall in a short period of time, prevents proper drainage, and the strength of the wind, which, due to the very narrow horizontal Barrett gradient, produces hurricane-force winds of magnitude 9 or 10 on the Beaufort scale, must also be taken into account. Back in the province, in Santa Teresa Riva, a sinkhole opened along the seafront, and tragedy nearly struck when a car became trapped inside and overturned, with the driver suffering multiple fractures. An ambulance assisting the victim was involved in an accident, the vehicle being swept away by the waves and damaged.
De moment està bé.
In Sardinia, the first sign of Harry's arrival was the grecale wind. Gusts of wind began to lash the east coast with steady force, bringing with them a wall of dark clouds that battered the Gennargentu mountains. Here, the rain fell not at its usual winter rhythm, but in torrential, continuous streams, fueled by moisture from the sea moving up the mountain slopes. Rivers in the Nuoro and Gallura regions reacted immediately, overflowing beyond warning levels and inundating the surrounding countryside. Roads, normally vital to the island, became impassable due to mud and debris. In Furki Siculo, waves as high as 5 meters crashed into the coast. Fortunately, the situation is currently under control. However, the worst is expected in the coming hours. A similar situation was reported in Canito Lipari in the Aeolian Islands, where waves have already reached the coast. Meanwhile, in Spain, Hurricane Harry hit Catalonia with a vengeance on Tuesday, so severe that civil protection has asked shops near the Onyar River to close immediately and residents living on ground floors to move upstairs due to the uncertain situation and risk of flooding. Restrict movement in the city, urged Mayor Lluc Salellas. This morning, the Onyar River exceeded the danger level, as did the Daró River as it passed La Bisbal de Empordà, Girona, also causing concern. In Llafranc, the force of the storm also affected ships anchored at the port of Llafranc in Palafrugell, Girona, where, according to Medicat, more than 170 liters of rain had fallen. The local council has asked residents to exercise caution and avoid travel if possible. The storm caused the river in Llafranc, Girona, to overflow its banks, flooding several streets and some ground floor properties. The flooding also affected access to the village from secondary roads.
320 metres cúbics per segon.
Catalan Interior Minister Núria Parlon explained that the weather phenomenon is expected to begin to subside in the coming hours, although she clarified that this does not mean a reduction in the flow of rivers and streams. Meanwhile, firefighters continued to search for a man in Palau who was reportedly flooded while in his car, according to the fire department. Emergency services, 112, received a call at 7:35 a.m., and 5 teams are participating in the search, including the Special Operations Group, GRAE. The storm has also caused flooding in the streets of Lanka, and the City Council is working to block rivers that could overflow. The City Council has closed access to the N260 highway and Mistral Road due to standing water, which is blocking traffic. Mayor Núria Escarpenter stated that around 70 customers are also without air due to a burst pipe on Empordà Road. Technicians are working to clear the storm drains of leaves and debris to allow accumulated rainwater to drain properly. The Catalan Fire Department was forced to rescue several drivers who were holding onto rivers in the Girona region during the storm. Many vehicles had to be freed in places like Maçanet de la Selva, Calonge and Parlava, said Jordi Martin, head of the Girona Emergency Region, reminding the public to limit their movements as much as possible. The Catalan Fire Department, Bombers de la Generalitat, responded to numerous emergency calls due to Storm Harry, particularly in the areas around the Daró and Onyar rivers, which flow through the city of Girona. The fire department is also taking precautionary measures and in this case, has evacuated a residence for people with disabilities in Figueres, Girona, where flooding is recurrent during storms like this. The Minister of the Interior of Catalonia, Núria Parlon, again met with residents to urge them to remain vigilant and cautious, especially in areas near the Onyar River, which is at risk of overflowing in the city of Girona. "We must try to avoid moving and go upstairs," she said at a press conference to provide an update on the storm's development in Catalonia. She added that the weather event is expected to subside in the coming hours. However, he clarified that this does not mean river levels will decrease.
Però fa molt maco, la veritat. Com podem veure,